I've had this company 35 years, Blackstone+Cullen. Prior to that, I was with HP for 15 years, and I ran and built the global accounts program. Before that, I was with RCA selling mainframes. The bottom line is my entire adult life, I've had to gather requirements of some shape or form or the other in order to bring something to market. And I think what we have here today is something that may be a bit disruptive when it comes to gathering requirements. Typically, when you gather requirements, it ends up being what I refer to as a PETA. It's a pain in the ass. If you've ever done it, you know what it's about. It's inconsistent. You get bad results. You get cost overruns, and you get missed dates. And I thought, I've done this a long time, but if I could come up with something that's AI driven, now that AI is on the market and it's doing quite well, and I could configure it for any industry or any company or any function or any operation, well, that would be helpful. And then something that would learn as it goes, so I don't have to keep teaching it the same thing over and over again. And something where I could secure the data and make sure that the customer's data was protected. And if I could pull that together, I might have something. But what would I want to put in there? I would want to put in project charters, and I'd like to get at least a 3 times return. That means if it takes me 1 day to do it with AI, it's going to take me 3 days to do it without AI. Okay, so project charters, functional requirements, Gantt charts, stakeholder analysis, regulatory, change management. You can see that all these different areas are going to give you a different, what we refer to as a force multiplier. So why did we think AI and level 42? And level 42, the name came from our product manager who really liked the band name. And since he was doing a good job on the product, we said, okay, we'll just call it level 42 because it's got 42 different modules that we can work on when it comes to doing requirements gathering. It's dynamically configured at runtime, and I'll show you that. Easy to use, it's intuitive, and again, industry agnostic. I can get typically a 10 times return or 10x power factor, and it learns from itself. When we start out, we'll look at a project, we'll get the specifics of a project. We begin to look at the runtime configuration variables, and again, it's like industry and company and function and operation and technology and regulatory, and it really doesn't care. I really don't care which industry or function, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So we've got 42 modules, and it goes everything from creating a project charter to stakeholder interviews to business requirements. We've got a rapid BRD for complex sales teams that go in and need to complete a BRD while they're on site on that first call and leave a signature page with a customer where everybody knows where they're headed. All the way to end-to-end project management if you need RACI diagrams, if you need technical architecture diagrams, et cetera. We can get involved in regulatory and compliance risk, which we've applied this to SOC 2 audits and FFIEC audits to prove to ourselves that this was actually viable in that area. And then if you want to do advanced analytics, that's based a lot on the product that glimpse that we've had in the market for several years. So why is level 42 requirements gathering better than just somebody using a plain old GPT? Well, it's got enhanced domain expertise and then advanced data integration. It's all customizable, and we've got great security with it, et cetera. Our mantra is your data, your control. If you're doing requirements gathering, you're getting to the heart of a company's problems, and they do not want their IP to get out into the market or get out on somebody else's AI system. So level 42, we'll put it in a private system that they'll have in their site with AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, or we can put it in a private on-prem system. And we do have a private system that we have built that is our own GPT that we can use. And we're going to have the customer use their cybersecurity and their access controls, and we're going to provide concierge support. What is concierge support? Concierge support says we'll do training and implementation, we'll write prompts, do serious prompt engineering, architecture, integration, and consulting with the customer to make sure that they are very satisfied with where they're going. We're currently in beta with the product, and we're finding amazing results there. We're finding that it's consistent, it's efficient, it's easy to use. The cool thing about it is it's extensible. So even though I start with 32 different variables, I can take that up as many as I need. It's easy to use. It's dynamic. I can prompt it by typing, or I can just talk to it. And I've gotten used to just talking to it now. I can ask things like, "Hey, I need clarification on what you're doing here, or how can I make this better?" Or give me some options on risks. I'm not sure that I'm catching all these risks, and what am I missing? And then expand here. I don't want this 4 levels deep. I want it 8 levels deep. And by the way, when you do it 8 levels deep, give me a diagram of that and make every box blue with black font where AI can be applied. And oh, by the way, go ahead and tell me 3 levels deep the functional decomposition of that process to show me how AI can be applied. And I've got it so you just have to ask it, and it'll give you the options. And our goal is to get between a 3 and 10x force multiplier. And my recommendation, if you're using AI and you can't get a 3x force multiplier, go find something else to do, because that seems to be the best thing that people can do right now. We have demo days, and these are some of the things that we do when we're doing demo days. We start with a 5-minute demo of the product. I'm going to take you through a live demo here in just a moment, and then this will take us to our private model that we have with level 42, and then we have a trial that people can get. They can be trained in prompt engineering if they don't have a good understanding of prompt engineering, and then the 42 modules is a video. And that video will actually take you through and show you all 42 levels, feature, function, benefit, and the force multiplier for what you would get from level 42. And we're basing a lot of the work that we've done historically on the success that we've had. Over 35 years, 84% of our clients have been bonused or promoted as a result of what we've done. And because of how we manage projects, we're at a 98.5% on time, on budget over those 35 years. So we're very proud of that. And I want to move this over, and I will now give you a live demo. Some people want to know a little bit about what models do we have. And these are the models that we have the availability to go use right now. Llama, I believe it's DeepSeek and Quinn are all private models. They are the models that we have running. Some others we have that we can access and will run just fine. And those models also are ChatGPT, 4.0, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm in the level 42, and one of the customers asked for us to do Kaizen. So can you do, we want to work in Kaizen. We don't want to work in your standard process. And we said, sure. So we took a little time and built out a Kaizen model that goes right in with level 42 so we can extend it. So I'm going to set level 42, and it says, let's begin with requirements gathering. It's going to think for just a second, and it's going to come up and say, give me the information so we can begin the process. This is Lee Blackstone. My role is the CEO. My email is lblackstone@bac-atl.com. The phone number 404-218-2889. The company is Blackstone+Cullen. I'm the CEO, and we're talking about financials. Am I an approver? Yes, I am. So you saw that took a total of, my goodness, 18 seconds. Well, let's see what it gives us. It brings it out, puts it in the right place. Now it's going to ask me some more information about the project. The project is a 3 ERP system. I'm going to consolidate 3 ERPs into one data warehouse using SQL Server for all of the ERPs and the data warehouse. I'm going to use SSIS for integration. I'm going to use Power BI to transform the reports that are currently in Crystal. This is a service project, and it is designed to improve the close time from 3 weeks on financials to 3 days. So now that gives me the primary background, and it's going to also come out with something that I think is fairly nice. So we don't have the word wall that a lot of folks do when they're actually creating something within GPT. I like the fact that I can have it come out and actually show me. I'm a very visual person, and I want to know exactly what's going on. So it says, do we need to provide any more specifics on the industry and the business function and the current ERP? Or do we want to proceed with this? And what I want to say is, give me all the variable options that I have, please. So those are all the variable options that we have. So this will give you an idea of the process we're going to go through. This is the flooring industry. The company is My Floors. I'm working with finance and accounting. The operation is accounting. The program is ERP consolidation. The project is going to be to improve the closing of the books, and the process is an accounting process. Technologies involved are SQL Server, Power BI, Crystal Reports, and SSIS, and a number of Excel spreadsheets. The business owner is Adam. The technical owner is Brian. The PMO owner is Elizabeth. The executive sponsor is Sarah. The budget's $500,000. I've got 60 days to do this project, and it will start January 1st. Internal resources, 1 report writer. External resources, a 5-man team from Blackstone+Cullen. The requirements owner is Lindsay. The stakeholders will be the internal executives as well as the executives from Blackstone+Cullen. Any compliance requirements? Yes, they're EPA compliance requirements based on removal of existing flooring within an environment and disposing of that in a landfill. The objectives are KPIs. Make sure that we're on time, on budget, with 100% accuracy on the financials and the financial closing. Integration needs, yes, integration with existing ERP systems and various Excel spreadsheets. We'll use the security and data protection of the clients. The scalability and future plans are to integrate 3 companies per year. The user experience and expectations, none at this time. Third-party dependencies, yes, there's a colo company. We've got to make sure that can provide us the data on time and on topic. Customization versus off the shelf, this is purely customization. Data volume and velocity, 5,000 orders a day. Cultural regional considerations, none. Details, I've given you all the details. The force multiplier, we're looking for at least a 3x force multiplier, and this is a consulting and hiring combined, and the time to outcome requirement is going to be 60 days. So it's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking, and it's breaking down what I just told it. And now let's see how well it does by breaking it apart.
While that's doing that, is that not, the tool itself is a great tool, don't get me wrong. Just the fact that you can talk to AI in that length and in that detail and get it right now is just shows how far AI came in the last year, right?
Right.
I mean, a year ago you would have had 750 edits in that.
Right. So you can see here the various things that it says. Do we want to break down any of these things? Well, I'm not sure of all the risks that I'm facing here. Can you give me a more detailed risk assessment and make that 3 levels deep, please? And this is how we determine how deep we want to take the conversation on a specific area. So you can see it went 3 levels deep on the risk. Here's where it's coming back and giving us the exact risk we're talking about. Okay. And these things are incredibly cool to be able to do this and see it immediately. Anything else?
How much prompt engineering effort went into this as opposed to just asking ChatGPT?
Probably about a year to go through and build the prompting for the backside, because we started out with building agents that built agents that wrote the code. And somebody asked me that very similar question. Do you want to include or not include the 50 years that I've been in the industry and the hundreds of industries I've been to and the thousands of projects that we've gathered requirements on, because all that went in to having to build this out.
Right. This is kind of, I mean this tongue in cheek, but Tommy talks about digital beings. So this is the digital Blackstone.
It is. And we actually started to build a digital clone of me in the company. And
Right.
this very much fits into the digital clone of me. We started with about 60,000 emails.
And how many vectors in a vector database, you know,
I couldn't tell
personalize this to your expertise?
I've got another guy that runs the vector database for me. I couldn't tell
Okay.
you. I'll show you some of the things that will pop out on some of the knowledge maps and things. But
Yeah,
we
I
are
mean,
using the vector database on the backside to
my
gather the data.
heckling in the chat earlier, this is a great example of the new human computer interface.
Yes,
And um, hats off. This is impressive.
thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to post any more accolades? Please put them to the chat line so I can.
You can generate your own accolades. Come on.
Thanks. Okay, let's continue. Um, continue with the process and of creating a business requirements document. So Paul, do you have responsibility for the teams that actually have to go out and do detailed requirements on a customer site?
Well, like you, being in anything having to do with software solutions for 46 years, I can easily say yes.
Okay, so
But yeah,
okay, some of these mermaid diagrams that are coming out, the way this engine works is it will put rounded brackets, and when you get a rounded bracket and a mermaid diagram, it doesn't work. You have to go back and correct it. But I'm not going to worry about that for this particular demo. So what I wanted to show you, let me go do a rapid BRD because it will short circuit it to, well, I'll just continue.
I have a question for you, Lee.
Go ahead.
Eric. For instance, we have engineering companies, partners, right? And they go to enterprise customers to try to implement our stuff. There's this degree of separation between the end customer and their issues, problems, and requirements, the people in the middle of this, which are technical or engineers, but not knowledgeable about what we do enough to do it the way we would do it, right? Or ask the right questions, as you mentioned. So how can your stuff be interjected with some knowledge about our stuff, for instance, and serve as a gathering requirement tool for our partners who in turn are talking to our customers? Does that make sense?
It does. So let me show you how this can break off into a different area. Right now, I'm going through an ERP problem. And let me show you how this might work. Because we can change it. Literally, I can change it to anything. So let's talk about something simple, an engine that falls off a Boeing 777, and I've got to go replace it. Probably not exactly what you're talking about, but let's just take a look at how we might approach that problem. Gee, somebody's just walked into my office, and we are an airline, and they've interrupted me, and I've got to stop and take care of this problem. We just had an engine go out on a 777 Boeing airplane, and I've got to replace that. They told me I've got 90 days to get that airplane back in the air. I've got to replace the engine, so I need to know where to go find an engine. I need to know what kind of engine to use. I need a bill of materials on the parts that I need for that engine, and I need that bill of material needs to be based on the ability for somebody to get those parts here within the next week. I need a project plan. Assume everybody in that project plan is billed out at $100 an hour. I need to know tasks, resources, time, and total cost of doing that. I need FAA documents on the certification to get that airplane back in the sky. And I need to be able to know which vendor to send this an RFP to in order to get that back, and only vendors that can respond and have things delivered within 1 week. Please take care of that. So wouldn't you like to be able to do something like that in the real world when you had a problem like that? I would. So we built that. And so here's the goal. I got to replace this engine. I got 90 days. I got to get that airplane back. I got to get an engine. I got to get parts. I got to get FAA certification. I got to turn around with vendors. And here are all the extra things that I need: bearing assemblies, critical components, bill of materials. This is what it's going to cost me to get it done. Here's my labor cost breakdown. Do I believe this? No, I don't believe that. Do I think it's right? No, I don't think it's right. Do I think I've got to go check it? Yes, I've got to go check it. And so if I go here and I will say, your labor rates are nuts because we only have 30 days to get this done. It's not going to cost $1 million for labor. And go back and give me multiple options for that engine. I think that's too expensive. Can I lease it? Can I get a loaner? Give me some ideas. So you can go back and argue with it. So it comes back and it says, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. You know, here's an estimated cost, and it says duration. And so there's a duration for the 3 to 6 month short-term lease. And I can get a loaner, and that's going to tell me how much that's going to cost. I can do exchange programs. And then now here it comes back and it gives me a more realistic view of the cost. Okay. So give me a communications plan with all the critical resources that I've got to communicate with. And I just found out from my boss that I have to ship out an RFP. So go ahead and create an RFP for the parts that I'm going to need to support this. So there we go. We found out. I think it told me the exact engine. I'm not sure. Okay, so there we go with the compliance, the QAs, the coordinators of the RFP. Give me the 5 vendors I need to send that RFP to. And I need to give me some evaluation criteria and a template for evaluating the vendors. So there we go. GE Aviation. It's a GE 90 engine. There's Rolls-Royce. It's a Pratt Whitney. These are other guys, but as it turns out, it's a GE 90, which is the one running that. Here's the compatibility and scoring, et cetera. This is a weighted average, which you guys, I'm sure, are all familiar with. So he gave me a weighted average capability. And there's my evaluation. And this is telling us what we need to be able to do there. Give me a final report that I need to give back to my boss, telling him exactly where we stand on this project today. So there we go. So now I've been through all that. I know about what it's going to cost to get it done. I can get it back in the air. And here's all the approvals that you go through. Now, anybody have any questions on being able to do that? If not, I want to show you the next point.
Lee, there are a
Yeah,
couple.
I had a quick,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So someone
yeah, I had a
said
quick
this
question
is
to post on the
like-
chat. Are you able to identify the sources of where some of these assumptions or data comes from? So you can research that or kind of change it?
Can, yeah. Yes, you can. This particular one, I did not put it in there where it will pop that up. But yes, you can have it where it will come back and give you the specific references on what you might be looking at. And so the next cool thing about this, can you go back to the business requirements document and resume where we left off?
And Lee, I'll add that if there's a link to online information, or it'll provide a link to online information if that's where it's accessing it. Otherwise, it could be information that we've uploaded into the system from either APIs or documentation.
Okay, so you see, we went right back to where we left off and picked right up and can continue to operate specifically on that. And I know somebody's going to ask me this question, and if I can figure out how to get to this thing, bear with me a second.
Lee, while you're doing that, answer a question for me. Have you
Go
not
ahead.
done some, have you not applied this to healthcare in a healthcare setting?
We have. We applied it to being able to do all of the systems and implementation for hospital going through from the very basic integration of AI into the organization, out even through treatment plans for patients. Now, does that have to be reviewed by a doctor? You betcha.
Yeah.
About the only time that it doesn't have to be reviewed by a doctor is if you're dropping granny off at the old folks home on a Saturday afternoon right before the Georgia game. Because the thing you have to do there is validate the drug she has, make sure there's no contraindications, but you have to create a treatment plan that an RN can sign because doctors don't work there on the weekends. So yes, we've used it for those.
I was thinking that specifically for things like compliance, right? There's so many damn compliance and regulations that, instead of a requirements document, you basically create a compliance document with all the necessary info.
You can do that, but you have to be very careful because the engines will refuse to give you
Certainly.
some of those. Like if you say, I need you to fill out this tax document for me, it will come back and say, no, I'm not going to do that. If you
Gotcha.
say, I need you to fill out this FDA thing for medical, for certification for a particular medical device, it will come back and say, don't trust me to do that. That's not, we make mistakes. And
Right.
let me say that everything that you get out of these systems has got to be human in the loop on
Right.
everything. And we recognize that. So some of the things that we're trying to do to make sure that we maintain extreme accuracy in what we're doing is we're using agents on the backside to make sure that we're going through all of these pieces. And you can see this is part of the agentic process. These are the system dynamics of how these agents are talking to themselves, or talking to each other, rather. Here we're doing the temporal and dynamic considerations of the agents. And here's some of the advanced learning that it takes into account, and then the system level architecture considerations for those. And then for those of you that are interested on how do you make sure this is accurate, I had fun the other day. I was at Georgia Tech in the robotics group, and they were complaining because their robots kept making errors. And so you can, if you run things in serial and each one of them has an 80% efficiency level, by the time you get to the third one, you're probably below 50% of whether that thing's going to be accurate or not. However, if you run these in parallel, and you see right here, we're running this engine in parallel, I'm going to get up north of 99% accuracy, 99.2% accuracy by running these agents in parallel. And that's what we're working on to make sure that we're getting very accurate answers, as well as tuning the back end of this to with the temperature down close to zero to make sure that we're getting as much repeatability as possible. So any other questions? I can go on and on and on. We've got 42 modules. I showed you one. And I'm happy to show you, actually, I showed you several, but I'm happy to show you anything else on here that you would like, or I'm very happy to schedule individual conversations with each one of you to walk through it.
Is there anything else that you think would be impactful that you could show in like 5-7 minutes?
Sure.
I give you
Sure.
5-7 minutes. I know
5 to 7
Stephen wanted to be a little bit late, so Stephen, unless you are, you're ready. Don't
No,
want.
I don't want to steal from Lee, but I do have a hard stop at 4, so, or actually 3:45. So yeah, Lee, you got something really cool. Go for it. But yeah, when it gets started soon if I can.
I think I have proven to everybody what I can do. Paul, did you have a question?
If you were going to talk more, I noticed you're generating diagrams, and offline, I'd be curious to know how, if you're just leveraging public LLM abilities there, or
I am.
you have your knowledge specific ways of doing that, and how you represented those models in a language that LLMs could do.
Are you familiar with Mermaid?
Yeah,
It's a mermaid diagram.
all mermaid. Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm very, very open. That's a mermaid diagram.
Okay.
And we are continually adding new modules. We have one of the newer ones that we've come out with is for a TSA for Transition Services Agreement. We're also rebuilding the entire level 42 package. Lindsay Fraley's on the phone with me. She's responsible for that. She's the product manager, and we're rebuilding that for M&A. So think about it this way. If you are evaluating a company using AI, which you should be doing, if they send in, their deal book, you should be evaluating that with AI. Now, how do they change what they send in to you, knowing it's going to be evaluated with AI? And so we're working on both sides of that equation, not only to be able to do the evaluation, but be able to make sure that the deal books coming in being evaluated with AI are going to score higher. That's a pretty cool thing. Lindsay's running with that right now, and we're really excited about that. The other one was a resource planning. So if you go through this entire thing, and let's say that you're doing a quarterly business strategy or something, and you know you're going to have project resources, this will go and create the project resource plan. It will create the job descriptions for all the individuals. It will forward the job description specifically to your recruiting organization. And if it doesn't do that, you can have it forwarded to mine, and I'll make sure that we get you the right resources. The project that we were doing here that I showed you today on the My Floors is an actual project that we're working on right now. So a lot of the things that we do are things that you're seeing here, consolidation of ERPs. Another one that we're doing is taking bids back on a home builder that is building homes in the Palo Alto area between 10 and $60 million. And we are doing a bid analysis package for him so he can cut the amount of time it takes to put together a takeoff drawing for all the subs to do a pricing back to the customer. It's going to take him from 6 weeks, probably down to about 1 to 2 weeks. We just did another one where we applied the same thing to take a 36-inch water pipeline in West Texas to pull water from 2 aquifers and 1 arroyo, taking it 60 miles over some hills and mountains, supplying it with back-end electrical backup in terms of solar and wind and battery power in case we had a failure. And that's for a 30-year contract for water. So we also had to go get a 30-year electrical contract with the locals. And we were able to create that and all the engineering drawings and the project plan to implement that in about 2 hours. It was 100 pages. And the PE that we did it. Yes.
How do you price your solution and the privacy of the
Well,
data?
no. We'll handle that off. Too many people,
Sure.
and I gotta move on to the next person.
Thank you,
I will
everyone.
get you that information, but that's probably not the right forum right now, if you don't
Okay.
mind. All
Thank
right,
you,
Steve.
everyone. I'll be cognizant and let my next cohort take over and run. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Tommy.
Hey, good luck with PwC, man.
Thank you.